Hi, my name is Jackie. I am in the process of fighting for custody of my grandson in Campbell County. The corruption started on January 23rd, 2023, when the non relatives took child from Cincinnati, Ohio to Kentucky with the power of attorney that was signed in Cincinnati, Ohio. No adoption papers have ever been signed. Mom asked for her baby back, and the non relatives refused. The adoption agency told the couple to give the baby back. They refused. February 3rd, 2023, the non relatives filed for emergency custody of the child, withholding the identity of the father and withholding information from the cabinet that mom wanted her baby back. The non relatives presented paperwork to the courts, presenting herself as the adoptive mother, knowing it was false. Her attorney notarized this paperwork, knowing they were filled with lies. February 8th, 2023, Judge Volker seized custody of my grandchild and gave it to the non relatives, and she has continued to deny this family their child ever since. Why was Judge Volker so interested in my grandson that she, not the cabinet, but she took custody of my grandchild, attempting to do the job of the cabinet and failed miserably? The case screams familiarity. Paternity was established by DNA Testing Center, and Judge Volker continued to deny this family their child, naming the non relatives fictive kin and continuing to refer to them as prospective adoptive parents. No adoption papers were ever signed. She allowed this couple to come off the streets, giving them the child and rights that the grandmother should have had. Judge Volker failed to do her job by ignoring the wishes of the mother for the child to be placed with grandmother and ignoring the fact by law, mom had a right to change her mind. She allowed this couple to take my grandson by violating the law of the mother's rights and did not care how qualified the judge said I was. March 2023. Grandmother filed a motion to intervene and requested that she be given custody of the child, even though February 8th, the attorney asked the judge to provide custody of the child to grandmother, and judge refused. April 19th, a disposition hearing was held, and Judge Volker ordered the child to remain with the non-relatives. And I guess you can see where this is going. Her intent from the very beginning, February 8th, was to keep my grandson with these people, even though she knew biological mother, biological father, and biological grandmother was wanting custody of their grandson. April 19th, a disposition hearing was held, and Judge Volker ordered the child to remain with the non-relatives. June 13th, 2023, a custody hearing was held based on grandmother's motion for custody. June the 13th, this is the first time that Judge Volker listened to the biological grandmother who was there February the 8th. July the 14th, 2023, the judge ultimately ruled that the child's best interest would be served if he was to remain with the non-relatives, who is a recovering alcoholic with a criminal record of multiple DUIs, who states he is currently in AA. Kudos for those people who are currently in AA. But why I ask you, is there a standard for them and a standard for us in her courtroom? What she tells us that it doesn't matter that we have no criminal records, my husband and I. It doesn't matter we don't have a criminal record. But then she takes my son's criminal record and use it against him, and then he is held high on a pedestal in his criminal record, his multiple DUIs, his alcoholism. He's okay though. She don't have a problem with that. Does that make sense? No. And another thing that won't make sense is that if the roles were reversed, this brown baby that she has given to these people, if roles were reversed, there is no way under God's green sun that she would have taken this white baby away from his qualified relatives and given him to us. No way. And no one is going to make me think anything less. The judge stated that since the child is doing so well with this couple, I will just leave him there. What kind of ruling is that? What kind of reasoning is that? The child could have been doing and faring well with his family had we been given the opportunity. She never gave us the opportunity to do that. And how is this allowed to happen? How is this allowed to happen? Why was this allowed to happen? Why did she do this? Why did she allow this to happen? August 14, 2023, grandmother filed a motion to alter, amend, or vacate, but the motion was denied, even though Judge Volker found grandmother to be uniquely qualified and available. Now, that's what Judge Volker said. She said I was uniquely qualified and available. KRS 620-090 states that a court is required to place children with a family member who is qualified. That would be me. And Judge Volker continues to deny grandmother custody of the child with no factual evidence. Just blatant judicial misconduct, biased opinions, abusing her discretion, and violating the color of the law. That is what she has done to me and my family with this case. October 19, 2023, an appeal was filed. The Court of Appeals stated Judge Volker should have listened to grandmother first before placing child with this couple, but they would not change the ruling, stating they were leaving it up to the judge to have made her ruling on factual evidence, therefore failing to overturn her erroneous decision. There was no factual evidence for Judge Volker that she used her bias and presumptuous ideas and had the Court of Appeals reviewed the case properly and lawfully, they would have seen the deliberate actions Judge Volker has used to take and keep my grandson from his biological, qualified, and available family. Judge placed my grandson with this couple using the rights she has taken and withheld from my grandson's family and given to this couple, going against what the law has instructed her to do. The Kentucky Supreme Court refused to hear my case. This has allowed judges to be able to take children away from their families and place them with people who cannot have children or to who anyone the judge wants to place them with. In this case, my grandson happens to be Black and this couple is white. And if the roles were reversed, this case would not have gone the way that it has. Judge Bruning of the Department of Justice denied my lawsuit and stated his belief is that I filed my lawsuit in retaliation along with some legal jargon about jurisdiction and other reasons. Retaliation? My retaliation is in Judge Volker's injustice and the misconduct that she displayed in the courtroom. Judge Bruning of the Department of Justice, with trickery, deception, and changing the goals of the father's case plan, Judge Volker continues to stall for time so that time can be used as a reason to keep my grandson with this couple. My husband told the judge 3 months into this case that she was going to try and stall for time and use it as a reason to keep my grandson in the home of this couple. She did not deny it, and that is what she has done and continue to do. And now those words have become a reality. But I ask, do we allow kidnappers to keep children despite the time spent with the kidnappers? No, we do not. Judge Volker used the law erroneously and placed my grandson with this couple who was denied adoption by the parents. Judge Volker attempts to make this white couple whole by taking our Black baby and placing him with this couple for adoption. She is now in the process of terminating my son's rights to his child. Why? The judge in this courtroom assassinated the character of my family while putting this couple and their family on a pedestal. They are not being scrutinized in the manner my family have. They have been allowed to present and give testimonies of documented lies, and the judge has accepted this. She has accepted every lie that has spewed out of their mouths. These judges have band together to uphold Judge Boker in her wrongdoing on every level, and it is a shame that there is no protection, organization, or individuals who care enough to ensure that we are given our rights and those rights are protected in this court. To answer the question about representation, yes, I had an attorney, and this is still what they have been allowed to do to me and my son. I am asking for help. This cannot be a solution or a precedent to solving problems of those who cannot bear children. I do not have money, a title, fame, or celebrity status. I am just a common American citizen, a nurse, a veteran, and my husband is a police officer whose rights have been violated and justice denied. We're good enough to protect the public. We're good enough to care for the public, but we are being denied the opportunity to care for our grandson. All I have is love for my grandson and my family. My heart and soul screams and cries out for justice. And I ask for those who can and are able to please help. Please help. Contact the Judicial Ethics Committee. I've contacted them twice. They say they were not going to take any action at this time. Why? Why will you not uphold the judges to the laws that was put in place to protect us, to have equality in the courtroom, so that everyone can have justice in the courtroom, not just the people that she know and not just the people that she feels deserve it. I'm asking anyone that can be of assistance to me and my family to get my grandson back. This has been going on too long. We are still fighting for him. We are going to continue to fight for him until we can no longer fight anymore. And those of you who know the words of prayer, pray for our strength in the Lord.